Hello and welcome to another edition of Zephyr Training. I'm your host, Jeff, and I'm joined today by none other than Vanessa Gamp. Vanessa, thank you for joining us again.
Happy to be here.
How was your holiday?
It was great. Lots of turkey. How
Yes,
about
I got plenty food drunk myself.
you?
Still have
Nice.
a jar of turkey in there. I think I'm going to have a turkey sandwich after this is done here.
Cool.
Yeah, so picking up on our theme from transaction management that we've been looking at the past few weeks here, we did a couple videos on ZipForm Plus, both the new experience on your desktop on the browser, as well as the mobile experience, which Vanessa, you helped us out with. Thank you for that. Also, we did the DocuSign video last week with HUD, and strongly encourage you to check those out. We're going to pick up these next 2 weeks on SkySlope, and SkySlope is such a beast that we kind of had to split it out. So today we're going to be looking at the first portion. Vanessa, can you tell us a little bit about what we're going to be looking at?
Yeah, no problem. So what we're going to be covering today is if you're doing your own files, how to create a transaction. So this is if you are the buyer's agent representing and you're starting out with a ratified contract.
Got it. So awesome. That makes sense. So looks like we've got a couple of viewers right now. Thank you for tuning into the live stream. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them into the live chat on the right side of the video player, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It really makes it easier so you don't ever miss a session. It's always easier to find our videos. We're now up to 101 subscribers, coming from 0 back in April. It's a nice little milestone for us, so we're happy to have that. Also means that we now have a vanity YouTube URL, so you can go to youtube.com/c/Zephyr Training. I'm sure you'll remember that. That is a kind of quick way to find us. So without further ado, I will throw to you, Vanessa, for the walkthrough here.
Great. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you guys can follow along. So what we're going to do is start by logging into SkySlope. All right. So you're going to log in with your username and your password. And it's going to take you to your home page. Now, if you guys might have already done this, but if you haven't linked your ZipForms account to your SkySlope account, when you go to log in, it's going to prompt you to do so. So you're going to want to say yes to this. It's going to make your life a lot easier. So you're going to log in. Using your ZipForms login. And it'll say, yay, it's been enabled. So now my SkySlope account has been connected to my ZipForms account, which means that I can access the forms in ZipForms through SkySlope. So it saves you from clicking around back and forth a lot. But what we're going to start with first is how to create a transaction. So you can see right over here, the pretty straightforward create transaction button. So we're going to click on that. And it's going to open up the very beginning of a transaction file. So you're going to put in the property address you have and select it here. So you're going to have two options. If you have created a transaction already in ZipForms, if you've created the documents for it, which one would assume that you have, if you have a ratified transaction, you're going to see it pop up here. If for some reason you don't have this in ZipForms, that's fine. You can just click on the Google link down here. But for the sake, we're going to select the ZipForms Plus transaction. And when you do that, you can say that it successfully imported 7 fields. So it's just going to save you a lot of typing time. It's going to pull information from your contacts, and it's going to pull information for your basic data entry that you've already put into ZipForms, so you don't have to type everything. If for some reason, of course, that you don't have a ZipForms file already going, that's no problem. You're just going to manually type all of this information in. So what we're going to do here is start filling in all of the required information, so anything with a red asterisk. You're going to want to select the very specific type of transaction you're doing. It's divided between Marin, San Francisco, or other area. So if you're working outside of either of those two locations, make sure you choose other. And then in this case, this is a single family house in San Francisco. So that's what I'm going to select. And that's going to make sure that you have the exact checklist that you'll need to get all of the required documents that Zephyr needs for the file. The next option here, you're going to select type. So since we are representing the buyers and just the buyers in this situation, we're going to select sale. You want to put in the year the house was built, source for where you got this deal. If this was a Z lead, you would select yes here, but we're going to say no. And then you want to put in both the date that this is going to close, which I'm just making up, as well as the date the contract is accepted. So when you have all of that information filled in here, you're going to hit next. And it's going to take you to the next section, which will be the contacts. So you can see if you had added in sellers and buyers into zip form contacts, it will have that information. It's going to pull it in automatically for you. If for some reason you wanted to edit it or change, add to it, whatever the case may be, you're going to want to hit the edit button first. And you'll see that it's now no longer grayed out, so you could type in more information if you wanted to. When you're done with everything, you do have to hit save before it'll let you continue. So you hit save, and then you're going to hit the next button. Oh, here it is with the buyer's information. So you're going to continue to go through and add in your contacts here. It's requiring our phone numbers. I'm going to add one in. Save. Go on to the next section. You can see what happens if you skip a section. You'll get a little pop-up here saying that you have to enter something in.
And we've had a couple other folks enter the room, so just want to reset and let you know that you're watching Zephyr Training. We're covering SkySlope and going through the creating a transaction process. If you've just tuned in, the main thing you missed is you definitely want to integrate your ZipForm Plus account with SkySlope when you're prompted, or you can also do it by going to the My Account menu in the upper right and selecting the integrations menu. You can sign in directly there. And whereas we haven't always trained to this in the past, the integration is greatly improved, and it really saves you from having to enter data in multiple systems multiple times. So it's is definitely to your benefit to have them integrated. So thus far, Vanessa has pulled in a transaction from that exists in ZipForm Plus, and it already pulled in all the basic address information and a bunch of contact information, as we'll see in a bit.
Correct. Great. We're going to hit next. Add the other agent on the other side of the deal. Scroll down to see what else they want. Phone number. Hit save. So these are the required options. If you are using a lender, if it's not an all cash deal, you could hit next and add that in. If there's home warranty information, you can put that in. If there's any other contact that is imperative to the file, this is where they get added. But in this case, we're just going to pretend this is an all cash deal. And so the seller, the buyer, title, and the other agent was all that we needed. So when you have everything in that you need, you're going to hit the submit button. It's going to take you to the commission tab. So you're going to write in here what the commission is. And this is also where you would put if you had a transaction coordinator that you're working with. Probably not if you're doing your own file. If there's any deductions that are going in, if you are getting this as a referral and you owe another agent a referral fee, all of that information goes in on this page. The account I'm working in now is like an example account. Your account will actually have your splits in here. So mine is only showing what the gross commission is, but once you started entering information, it would actually accurately display everything based on your split. So once all that information is correct, this is what your office manager is going to use to create your demand at the very end, which is why you want to fill this section out. You're going to hit submit. And now it's created the full shell file here for your transaction, for your property transaction. So you can see it puts us at the checklist. The checklist is where you're going to see a list of all documents that mainly happen in a real estate transaction. If the document is red, it's a required document. If it's blue, it's not necessarily required, but it might be applicable to this deal in particular. So if it exists, you're going to want to add it in. So once you've created this file, you're going to be living most of your time between the checklist and the documents tab. This is where most of your time is going to be spent. So there is 3 ways to get a document from somewhere out in the internet universe onto your SkySlope checklist. So the first, you can see here that it says email. This particular email address is actually linked to this account. So if an agent sends you signed documents, you can literally forward that email with the attachment to this address, and all of those documents are going to magically appear under your Documents tab. So it's a pretty sweet, very simple thing that you can do to get documents in. And if you had any documents, they're going to show up here. The other thing that you can do is manually upload documents that are from your computer. If you click on the upload section here, it's going to let you select whatever folder is on your computer. So I'm going to upload an example disclosure packet. So now you can see that I have a document option in here. So since we have a disclosure packet, I want to go through how you would take, mostly disclosures come in like 1 or 2 massive files, one of those really large PDFs, and then split it up into the smaller documents so that you get a check mark next to everything in your checklist. So what we're going to do here, you see there's the nice handy split button. When we click on split, it's going to pull up this special screen. On the right side of the screen is going to be an example display of what the actual PDF is. And then the left, we're actually going to create a list of what the items are. So, for example, I'm guessing most people are familiar with this document on the right-hand side. This is going to be the cover page for the disclosures. So I'm going to start typing in disclosure. So as I type, you're going to see that it's going to suggest to me some things that exist in the checklist. Cover page is exactly what this is. So I'm going to select it. This is a 1-page cover page. So I'm just going to say this goes from page 1 to 1. I'm not going to change anything. And I'm now going to go back to my display and scroll to the next document. So this, I'm guessing we're all familiar with it as well, is a Zephyr property statement. So I'm going to say property statement. So I start typing. That's exactly what I'm looking for. In this case, the property statement is 2 pages long. So it's not just from page 2 to 2, it's going to go page 2 to 3. So SkySlope now knows that the next 2 pages is going to end up on your checklist in the property statement section. You just continue on through your disclosure package for everything, everything divided up. So MLS, print out. Here we go. If you had something in the disclosure package that's normally not a disclosure, you can still add it in as well. So if for some reason, say this was like a trust document, some sort, Even though you can see there's no special populated thing that's popping up because that's not normally part of a transaction file, you can still put it in and decide how many pages this is. It's going to show up in the miscellaneous section of your SkySlope checklist. So you would continue on until your entire disclosure packet was all divided out into the perfect little sections that SkySlope has it. And then you're going to say split and assign. It's going to give you a little pat on the back. Nice job. And when you go to your checklist, you can see now, when we scroll to the disclosure documents, anything we've added in, instead of being red required because it's missing, it's now yellow, meaning it could be reviewed. You can see the paperclip here, which means there is an attachment. And if you hover over it, you get an exact view of what that document is that we just uploaded. So a handy way to take any document and load it in, or any large PDF and split it up into smaller checklist requirements. Okay. Now, the other way you can pull documents in, for example, the sale documents here, is by using the Zip Forms account. So in order to do that, you actually have to start back at the home page. So you can just click on the little Zephyr icon. Here we are back in the main page for SkySlope. And if you see down on the end here, it says working documents. If you click on that, you're going to see that there's a tab here called Zip Forms Plus. This will only show up if you have already connected your SkySlope and your Zip Form account, just to let you know. So if it's missing, it just means that you have to do that extra step. So when you click on Zip Forms Plus, it's going to pull up on the left a list of any transaction that you have in your Zip Forms account. And then when you click on said transaction, it'll show you on the right any of the documents that are in that transaction in Zip Forms. So we're going to click the correct property that we want. Now, if you have filled out all the documents and done electronic signatures using DocuSign all through Zip Forms, it's actually going to give you the end result form. So just to show you here, if you click on any of the documents, you can get a preview. And as you scroll down, you can see that this has all been signed already. So this is the signed version of the form.
We can't hear it, but there should be a huge applause for that new feature because, as we may recall, that the previous integration didn't allow for really any of this. So to kind of break it down again, this is a form that was originally selected in ZipForm Plus, sent out through DocuSign, signed, and then returned to ZipForm Plus. So when we pull it in to SkySlope, it's a matter of clicks, and you have the finished document in your transaction. A lot of heavy lifting going on behind the scenes, but it's a lot easier than it used to be for sure.
Yes, way easier. This is why the cloud is awesome. So what we're going to do is we'll select whatever documents that we want to bring in here. And what you're going to do is you're going to select assign, because now we need to take these documents and assign them to the SkySlope transaction. So yes, this would be the correct transaction we want to assign them to. So we'll click the assign button. And they're going to show up. Here we are again in our documents tab. And poof, there's all of the documents that I asked it to add in. So now that we have the documents in our documents tab, if you go back to the checklist and you want to, say, put in your purchase contract, you just have to hit attach. You're going to select the purchase agreement. You'll hit assign. And voila, there it is. Already in SkySlope, already signed. So that, my friends, is how you will continue on until eventually all of your checklist has been completed with all of your documents. And that is how you do a file. You start a transaction file on SkySlope.
Awesome. Well, Vanessa, thank you for taking us through that. We do certainly have some time for questions, so if any of you are on the live stream and have questions about creating a transaction, we're trying to keep it focused on that particular aspect of SkySlope for today. Feel free to enter them in the live chat. Just a quick look at what's coming ahead. Actually, I'll ask you, Vanessa, tell us a little bit about what's happening next week here as we pick up with SkySlope.
Yeah, no problem. So next week we're going to talk about creating a listing and then converting that listing once you get an offer for it, converting that listing into a transaction. So it's a two-step process.
Yes, looking very much forward to that. Yes, so look forward to that next week. Also coming next week, we're going to be moving to a new provider for our live streaming. But don't worry, you'll still be able to tune into us live on YouTube as you always have. But we'll also have a link directly through our new provider, Zoom. It'll be zoom.us. You'll have that link in the invite, so look for that. We're also exploring streaming live to Facebook, so it'll be kind of simultaneous. You'll be able to either see us on Zoom, which would be kind of recommended, YouTube, or Facebook as well. So that is soon to starting next week. You'll see that with our sessions going forward. It doesn't look like we have any questions today, so Vanessa, I think we'll put a pin in it there.
Actually,
And oh,
I'm going to quickly jump in and do one last thing, especially since we had a few latecomers. You saw how it prompted me to put in zip forms if you were in the beginning. If for some reason you clicked no on that in the past and you want to add it on now, it's no longer prompting you. Your name is actually clickable, so you click on your name in the upper right-hand side, and then you would click on My Account. This is going to pull up a list. You're going to click the very last one called Integrations. Now, zip forms will show up. Mine is showing enabled, but yours will probably show enabled, and you'll have this login here. And this is just where you would log into your zip forms account, and then you'll be all set up.
Awesome. Thanks I mentioned that briefly, but we didn't get to see it on screen, so that was certainly very helpful.
Cool.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in today. If you found the video helpful, hope you'll give us a thumbs up. It really does help us to have that feedback. Feel free to leave any questions in the comment section, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any sessions going forward. We're chasing now the main Zephyr YouTube channel. They have about 260 subscribers, so we've got a ways to go, but we're going to get them one of these days. Vanessa, thanks again for joining. I appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
All right, everyone, have a good rest of the week, and we'll see you next time.